Hi, I'm Marilyn Sanclementi of Stamp with Marilyn, and welcome to my creative playground. So tonight I'm going to make a couple of St. Patrick's Day cards, and I was going to show you how to make a shamrock using a heart punch. I have one shamrock punch that is from 1999, so that goes way back. So what is that punch? Or I'm sorry, oh my gosh. One shamrock stamp that goes back to 1999. So that stamp is 22 years old now. Okay, so tonight I want to get started. I found this really cool quilt card, and it's actually not as difficult to make as I thought it would be. So let's start with that one. And for that, I'm going to use a piece of 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And where did I put my cutter? There we go. For this card, I will need my cutter. So we're going to score this at 4 1/4 to make the card base. Okay, and this time, after I made this card the first time, I thought that it was just a little plain. I embossed this with the flowered embossing folder, and just to give it a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to put that on, oops, and I obviously cut that a little bit too short. So where did I put my tapes? There we are. So have you ever done that? You've cut something just a little bit too short or shorter than you thought? And so let me show you what I do for that. See how it's not quite lined up there? So I'm going to take my cutter again. There's always 99% of the time there's a way to fix things. Fortunately, this card does not have a design that goes all the way to the bottom, so it won't really matter if the card's just 1/8 of an inch smaller. So what I found for this card is you want to start with 2 green squares, and they can be the same color, they don't have to be the same color. I chose 2 different colors because I am using the paper from Forever Ferns, which has about 5 different shades of green in it. So I thought it would be cool to start with 2 different colors, but actually when I did it before, it really didn't matter that I was using 2 different colors on the bottom because you really didn't see that much of the bottoms. So what I did find with this, because I actually ended up doing this a couple of different times, but I love that Forever Fern paper, is you need 2 designs that are very different so that they stand out. So for example, for the first card, I used these 2 designs, and I was thinking, after going through it, I also pulled out this design and this design, and I think the other side is all leaves, and I don't think that the leaves stand out enough with each other, so you wouldn't be able to tell that there is a quilt type of thing. So, okay, so these 2 pieces are 3-inch squares, and 2 pieces of white are 2 7/8 squares, so these have a very narrow margin on them, and I'm thinking that to show the difference, those 2 might be good. They would stand out a little bit more than that and that. Or actually, when I did this one, I found that that was too close. So I think what I'm going to do is try this and this. Same here. So we're going to put those 2 squares together. And it's hard to believe. Today is the 15th, so next Monday is the 22nd. And on the 24th, so that would actually be next Wednesday, which is kind of odd because usually Stampin' Up! Makes all their announcements on Tuesday. Wednesday, the retiring list will be coming out for the annual catalog, which is the thicker catalog. the catalogs will be sent out in April, and then in May, the new catalog will be going live, which is just blows my mind. It's like, we haven't had that. How can we have not had that catalog for a while? But anyway, okay, so again, 3 inches, 2 7/8 inches, and this is 2 3/4 inches. So I'm going to cut this into, okay, 1 3/8 would be 2 3/4 total. I'm going to cut this in half this way, and I'm cutting both of them together because this is designer paper. It's a little bit lighter, and you can cut 2 pieces together. You can't necessarily do that with cardstock because the cardstock will kind of pill on the edges, but sometimes you can. If your blade is really sharp, you can. Okay, so now I have 4 little squares, and now we're going to quilt our pieces. So what we're going to do is put these together so that you have one on the bottom, and then you're going to turn the second one so that they line up together. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting adhesive in the center. I'm sorry, I did that off of the camera there, to get these lined up. I'm just kind of eyeballing that, and I think I've got that pretty much lined up. So now what I'm going to do is separate out my pieces. Okay, and what you do is you start with one piece and attach that to the corner here. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm working off of this corner, I'm going to go around clockwise. So I'm going to work off of this corner here. So I'm going to put my adhesive right there, and you'll understand why when we get to the end, because you have to feed that last piece under this piece. So I'm going to do this, okay? And now I'm going to take my next piece and I'm going to put that here, and I'm going to attach that there. So I'll do that. So what I did, I love this paper. I love this Forever Ferns paper, and it will be retiring in May. So if you like it, I would get it soon before it all goes. And one of the things that I like about this paper is just all the shades of green that are in it. Okay, so now with this one, I have the stripes going this way, so I'm going to continue that. So this is the corner that I'm going to use there. And I just did that. Oh. Okay, this one I just did backwards. That's okay, the stripes will still be going the right way. Okay, and then I'm going to turn this, and this is going to go here. So yesterday was a big parade in South Boston. South Boston is very, very Irish, and they have a huge parade every year. So yesterday they had a small parade to celebrate, but what was really cool was they had on one of the news channels the history of Boston Irish and St. Patrick's Day. And what's really cool, and I learned this when I moved here, I've actually been in Boston now actually 30 years, which is just amazing to me. It's like, where does the time go? And so now I'm just going to line this last piece up. Okay, and then this is the one that I didn't want to, now we need to feed this piece under, like that, so that it follows that pattern. So I'm going to attach that side, and then I'm going to work this piece under. So what was really cool is in Boston, Bostonians also celebrate Evacuation Day, And I never quite understood what that was until I worked for the city of Boston many years ago in the 1992, 1993. I worked for the city of Boston at Boston City Hospital. And I never quite understood what evacuation day is, but they had a really, really good explanation of it. Really good history lesson on the news yesterday. And they were talking about how it was the day that the British retreated from Boston, and it was the beginning of the end of the Revolutionary War. So that was really cool. And I knew it was evacuation day, and I knew it was the day that the British evacuated Boston, but I just didn't realize the significance with the Revolutionary War until they were talking about it last night. So on this special. So that was pretty cool. So anyway, so there's my pattern, and actually that looks good. You can really tell the difference between those pieces. So this was the first one that I did earlier. And this is the second one. And now what I'm going to do, I have a 1 1/4 inch gold piece of foil that I'm going to put in the middle to cover up that center. You could put just about anything there. I just thought this was a pretty quilted design. And then to make my shamrock, I'll use this shaded spruce, which is the darker. So we need 3 hearts. And then I'm going to need a really fine piece to use. So I'm going to just take a really narrow, just cut a sliver off. And then I will use that for the stem of my shamrock. I have my 3 little hearts, and I have these glue dots, and I'm going to attach it. You have to have something to attach those little hearts to. So this is a 1/2 inch circle punch, and I forgot why I had it on my table. But anyway, okay, so now what I've done is I've just peeled the backing off of that, and I'm going to line that up in the center of this circle. And same thing, I'm going to do the next one. Here. So this is just a little heart punch that I happen to have laying around. Okay. And these are the glue dots that are left over from paper pumpkin projects. Glue dots typically come on rolls, but I like to use up things that I have left from the paper pumpkin projects. So what's nice is these are on a sheet, so sometimes they're a little bit, depending upon what your project is, they're a little bit easier to use. So, okay, so there is my shamrock. And let's put our little, I'm going to put the, just going to put some glue on the back of this. I'm going to attach my stem. Okay, and I'm just going to snip that. I don't need the whole thing there. And let's attach that to the center. Okay, so now let's line this up and attach this to our card. Like so. We have these really cool dies. There's 2 sets. One is Well Said, and the other one is A Message for Everything, or A Word for Everything. There's 2 sets that we have that have all these little script dies and also have a ton of messages with them. And oh, it's a greeting for everything. So one set is a greeting for everything, and it's a 2-part set, and it has a whole bunch of words, greetings that you can use. And then the other set is Well Said, and that has all the holidays. So it has Happy St. Patrick's Day, it has Happy, and then, there's everything. There's Christmas, there's Merry Christmas, there's Mother's Day, Father's Day, just about everything. So what I thought would be cool, I took some Granny Apple Green. I put the sticky adhesive, the double-sided adhesive on the back, and I punched out St. Patrick's. I also did punch out Happy too. So what I'm going to do is stamp the Happy on this little tag. I wish I had some green rhinestones. I wonder what I might actually. And then I was going to put St. Patrick's Day on the inside. Oops, and I lost the saint. There we go. There's the saint. So you just have to peel the, this double-sided adhesive tape is great. So if you're doing messages or numbers for a birthday, it's great to use. You don't have to try and put glue on these little pieces, little tiny pieces, and get the glue all over your fingers, and then your fingers stick to everything, and it's a pain in the butt. So I really like these double-sided adhesive. Okay, and the other thing I found is start here like this, and then work as you're pulling the adhesive off. Sometimes the letters will bend a little bit. So I just kind of work it down like that. There we go. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Get that one started. We're finished. There. Okay, Happy St. Patrick's Day. Ta-da! And you could put that little shamrock. Oops. I think my ink needs to be re-inked. Wow. Okay, time to re-ink. There we go. I love it. So there's our first card, and let's put a little gem in the center. Here we go. Here we go. So these are the holly rhinestones, and they do have green ones. Yay! All right. I love the holiday rhinestone jewels. So, okay, let's take a couple of these green. And this card's going to have a lot of different greens on it. So I'm going to take, there we go. Okay, so happy St. Patrick's Day. Ta-da! And actually, I like that. I like this embossed better. This one, to me, looks very plain. So there are two versions of the quilt card. And actually, it's interesting looking at it down from my camera above. This is much more distinct. You can tell that those are two very different patterns than this one is. So there are my two quilt cards. And this one I just thought was fun. This is a combination of a couple different things that I saw online. I like to go out and look for ideas on Pinterest, and then I just modify the idea and kind of make it my own. So this is a combination of a couple of different cards that I saw. There is our other shamrock. So for this card, I'm going to start with a piece of Whisper White. I'm sorry. That's not Whisper White. That is Granny Apple Green. And that is 8.5 by 5.5. So I'm going to score that at 4 1/4 to make the fold. Well, because it is a really, really bright green. To use some black and white to kind of make that green pop. What I found is with a really bright green like this, if you really want to make it pop, then I love it with black and white. Black and white with any bright color. Black and white with pink, black and white with yellow. Those are my favorite color combinations. So for this card, I used the Gingham Plaid, and these are the designer paper stacks, and it's got 2 different designs on it. And then this is the other piece. So there's 4 different designs in total. And one, I'm going to use this pattern instead, but I'm going to use, oops, I still have that same black and white pattern and this pattern. So what we're going to do is to make these, we need 2 hearts times 3, so that's 6, a total of 6 hearts. So I'm going to punch these out. Okay, so for this card, again, we're starting with a card base of 5.5 by 4 1/4. And, oops, this piece of black, I wanted a thicker border on this. So this piece of black is going to be 3.5 by 4 3/4. So I'm going down 3/4 of an inch to get that nice wide border on this. So that's going to be just 1/8 of an inch larger. So that's going to be 4 3/4. So, and hopefully this is this is long enough. Yeah, it is. Okay. So 5 inches. This is going to go on here. And then this one I want to be, I have a 1/2 inch border here. So I need a piece that is 2 3/4 by 4. Okay, so what I have is I have that 3/4 margin here, the wider margin, and I have a 1/2 inch margin for this one. So it's a little bit narrower. Okay. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm folding these exactly in half. Okay, so what's really cool is then you just match these up and then line them up. So I'm going to do this. Oops, and I've got, okay. I want to match them up going the right way. So we'll put that, this with that, and we'll do this one like that. Okay. So I'm just going to put adhesive on one side. And to make my stem for this one, I use the tulip stem, which is, where did I put that? I had it. It's here somewhere. There it is. Okay, I use the tulip stem, and because I don't need a stem that is this long, I'm going to use a piece of Post-it note, and I'm going to color my stamp. This is the Granny Apple Green, and this is the brush end of the marker. What's really cool about Stampin' Up! Is there's 50 colors and they all coordinate, and for each color there's ink, there's a marker, there's paper, and there is the designer paper stacks. Okay, so now I'm going to line this up. There we go. All right. And I can actually use my marker and fix that a little bit. Oops, wrong end. Just fill it in. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to add my piece of ribbon. So I love this Granny Apple Green ribbon. Just going to tie a piece of that around. And I always have separate scissors. My scissors that have ribbons on them are ribbon scissors, because once you cut paper with ribbon scissors, they don't cut ribbon or fabric as well. And once you cut ribbon or fabric with your paper scissors, they don't cut paper so well. So I keep all my paper scissors separate from my ribbon scissors. And I put a little ribbon on the handles of my ribbon scissors to mark those. So just a helpful hint there. Trim my ribbon. Okay. And now I'm going to add this to the front of my card. There we go. And okay, and for this one I have, and let's do the Happy St. Patrick's Day. Oops, a little bit crooked. Okay, and let's do on the inside. There's our second card. So that's a 3D shamrock made with a larger heart punch and the granny apple green. And then the other card is my quilted card, and I use the smaller heart punch to make a shamrock. So that's it for tonight. If you're not on my mailing list, go out to stampwithmarilyn.com and sign up for my newsletter. So those are my 2 shamrock cards for tonight. I hope you've enjoyed them. If you're ready to put an order in, my host code for March is 6XTQ2DN2. If your order is under $150 and you use the host code, I'll send you a little gift. I like to share the host benefits. At the end of the month, I cash in all the host benefits and send things out to people, send out a little gift. If your order is over $150, then keep your own host benefits. I don't want your host benefits. You keep them. That's the whole idea of host benefits. So thanks for stopping by, and take care, and I will see you all again soon. Have a great night.